Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Tava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. So going back to our little talk in regards to karma and animals, if we present this question, these irrelevant questions to Swami Paramarthananda, most probably he's going to offer a precise answer. Why? He has been looking in all aspects of the teachings, not only the very relevant ones, the middle relevance and the irrelevant ones. He may have looked into everything and he would have precise, to a certain extent, logic or based on faith on the scriptures answered. So if Mark, if you go back to visit him one day, you say, oh, we have a stupid question here. Don't be upset with me, but this is it. But don't mention my name, okay, Mark?
Okay.
Any plans to go back to India in the near future?
I'd love to. But to be honest, now I don't feel the need like I did before. I know that it's inside me now. And before I always went as a seeker, and I really don't feel like a seeker anymore. So
Great.
that need isn't there now to go.
Very wonderful.
Of course, I love the place and would love to go. But equally, Arlindo, I'd love to come and visit you.
I was going to say that if you don't have that desire as much to go there, come to visit me here.
Yeah, that would be the plan when I've got some money.
Yeah. Plant the seeds of money, small tree, money tree.
I'm trying to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Just as the emptying of an ocean drop by drop with the tip of a blade of grass is possible only with perseverance. Also the discipline of mind is attained only with such perseverance. So it's verse 41, page 1998, and here, Gaudapada is presenting a very extreme kind of example. Just imagine someone trying to empty a lake or an ocean with a spoon or a blade of grass, So you have to be more than perseverant. You have to be stubborn, and crazy. So how about going into the path by which you need to develop a disciplined mind with a good degree of discrimination, vairagya, and so how are we gonna conquer the ignorant mind, discipline the mind, control the thoughts, purify, refine, direct the mind according to our will, so that we are not slave of involuntary thoughts or non-deliberate thoughts. So with incredible willpower, which is present here with strong perseverance. So is it a fact? Yes, it is a fact. It is a fact. Many times in my process, I said it is impossible. But now, in retrospective, I can say I was wrong. It's not impossible, but it requires a lot of effort and perseverance and good punya, spiritual punya as well to come to Vedanta, to the Guru. Here, Gaudapada openly acknowledged that the discipline of the mind, the develop of all the qualifications, the purification, refinement of the mind is indeed very difficult, but not impossible, just what I just said in retrospective with my life. It requires long effort. How long? It depends from person to person. Yeah? Depends on how already disciplined and pure and refined our body-mind complex is. Huh? How healthy our body-mind is already. Gaudapada gives the example of emptying an ocean with a small spoon. This is almost impossible. The mind generates so many thoughts, and the tasks of silencing the mind is to weed out useless thoughts. So how are we going to control the mind, discipline, educate the mind, saying no to those self-generating thoughts, you know, which keeps coming, non-deliberate thoughts, you know, vasana, how you say the word is, I forgot the word. So these thoughts, they come from the causal body, you know, and they somehow they appear, and we more often than not in the process, we feel powerless because their power is giant, is enormous. But the good news is that the mind and its thoughts not only purifies in its quality, but it purifies or it minimizes in its tyrannic nature of forcing themselves upon the Jiva-Atma, the thoughts, you know, all the time. So not only the thoughts become more pure, but they are not as much binding and as if they would have control over the Jiva-Atma. Yeah? It's exactly like weeding out the negative, useless thoughts. Emptying an ocean by drop using a spoon requires much perseverance. In the same way, handling the mind should also be practiced relentlessly, in spite of all frustration. Frustration should not stop us. Frustration is bound to happen, because when we fail in accomplish something, we often feel frustrated, but frustration should not stop us. We should persistently, systematically, consistently put up the effort to purify the mind, to educate the mind, to refine the mind, discipline the mind. One should be ready for failures again and again. Now he mentioned that. So frustration is unavoidable. You let them come, the failures, but you never give up. Never give up is the key. Something inside of each one of us will bring forth this stubbornness of never giving up. You understand? The commentators write a story relating this verse. A bird wished to empty the ocean to retrieve some eggs. Let's leave the ocean outside. A lake, a small lake. The bird dropped the eggs in a lake, and he wanted to find the eggs, and he came to the conclusion that he would need to empty the lake. Yeah. He was dipping its beak into the water and throwing out the water. The bird was doing that continuously over several weeks, months, and years, and seeing the sincerity of this bird, Bhagwan came and dried the ocean by flapping his huge wings. Very nice. From this story, it's learned that if a person is sincere, there will be help from Bhagwan also in the practice of disciplining the thoughts. So now we go into an area which is very subtle not to say mystical, esoteric, in which way Ishvara comes and somehow empties our mind from involuntary, useless, negative thoughts. He sees the effort we are doing, and then he comes and he does that when you least expect. This was more or less my experience. So Ishvara is supposedly seeing the effort, the sincerity, the persistence, the stubbornness. And then he says, so I need to give a help to this folk. Huh? So how so? How does that happen? I don't know. But I can just testify to the fact that when I least expected, my mind was becoming pure and meditation was happening spontaneously on those years before self-recognition took place. If a person is sincere, the help is coming. And somehow, when we least expect, the mind gets purified and disciplined and purified. Krishna says this in the 6th chapter. A mind that does not become defeatist and negative is absolutely necessary, needed. So the mind, as we have seen, 6th chapter, that we should never allow negative to settle in the mind. We should work. I think we have seen already this. Oh, no, I make such a confusion. I thought I was on the Gita. No, we are on the Mandukya now. So in the Gita, we see that one of the disciplines is self-confidence. You know, it's just you fall, you stand up again. You never allow any defeating or lack of confidence. Self-confidence must be there. No, I will do it. It is possible, you know, and no matter the amount and time of effort, I still feel confident. So our mind must be positive rather than negative. The mind should never fall for the notion of being powerless and impotent before this amazing, delusional, deceiving ignorance called Maya or Vidya. So we must fight back. Verse 42, by proper means one should discipline the mind which is lost in the objects of desire and enjoyment, and which is pleased in slumber. Slumber is as undesirable as desire. So now he starts giving some more instructions. Yeah? By proper means, one should discipline the mind. So what are the proper means? So as we know, the scriptures, pramana means by which we get not only self-knowledge, but we prepare the mind. We purify the mind. We discipline the mind through this pramana called scriptural teachings or scriptural revealed knowledge. By proper means, in the light of these teachings, one should discipline the mind, which for the samsaris, generally speaking, the mind is under the spell of ignorance, therefore is totally bound to the objects of desire and enjoyment. It's totally lost in the forest or the ocean of samsara. Yeah? And then he presents the problem of samsara, the desire for objects of experience, and at the same time, he says that slumber is as undesirable as desire. So slumber goes to apathy, you know, a state, a tamasic sort of state, opposite to the rajas that produce desires. But slumber is a depression, apathy, that is even more undesirable than the rajasic desires for worldly attainments or gains. Okay, so what are the proper means? We know we are in contact with these means. Thank you, Gaudapada. You are not going to need to convince us here, but there are many people who did not develop yet this understanding of the value of this scriptural knowledge as valid and highly sophisticated and efficient means by which we not only discipline and purify the mind, but we understand our true nature and we are free from samsara. So, and he points out that we need to watch out for those two energies, rajas and tamas, desires that are going to bind us to samsara, and also slumber, which is a kind of depression that is going to likely, similarly, or even worsely, bind us to a terrible sort of samsara, is even more undesirable. Gaudapada assumes that some students will be interested in doing Upasana. Upasana is an exercise in which I do not allow the mind to do what it wants, but I make it to do what I want. I want the mind to think intelligently, not to be sought by those vasanas, ignorance-based vasanas that produce thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts that gives me the impression that I'm stupid and an idiot. Now, I want to have a good self-image, so I need to educate the mind in a way that the mind thinks intelligently. Yeah? And the intelligence we want is not just a kind of scientific objective IQ, high IQ for scientific knowledge, but we want wisdom, a wise mind. Yeah? So we want to have wide thoughts, scientific thoughts, dharmic thoughts, and that requires training. I will never allow my mind to just go around, exposing its stupidity. Because as I often say, we are born from ignorance. We live in a huge ocean of ignorance. Ignorance, when we talk of ignorance in Vedanta, is self-ignorance. And the mind develops all these ignorant tendencies and notions, and those become impressions or tendencies or predispositions to produce thoughts. And the mind gets polluted by stupid thoughts going round and round and round, always about security and pleasures of the sense. So when I see the mind in that condition, I need to take upon myself the task of asking the mind to do what I find to be the best for the mind and for myself. The mind, you are my instrument to perceive and know. And I want to have an instrument which is pure, it is refined, it is properly tuned, because I want to get good knowledge, not stupid knowledge, which brings about even more mental disturbance. Let's see what Swami is saying. I give a particular task, I ask the mind to do to find out whether the mind is my instrument or the mind is my master, or if the mind is my instrument, or I am the instrument of the mind. The mind utilizes the body-mind complex as an instrument to go and run out desires for security and sensory pleasures. And a lot of conflict comes in that pursuit of Artha Kama. This meditation can be of two types. If disciplining the mind is done before Vedantic study, it's called Saguna Ishwara Dhyana, or Upasana, in the form of mental worship, mental recitation, mental repetition of mantras and so on. So this can be done to find where the mind stands. We want to know where the mind stands. We give a command and then we see if the mind obeys or not. So, of course, this person is a person who is seeing the mind objectively, seeing the thoughts objectively, and he is already developing a certain detachment from the thoughts, because after all, the mind is just a bundle of thoughts. So this is for meditators. Meditators are two types. They want to have control of the mind, meaning to say not suppressing the thoughts, but educating the mind, disciplining the mind so that the mind thinks intelligently. So if disciplining the mind is done before Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa Vedanta, this discipline of meditation is called Saguna Ishvara Jnana. You're going to meditate on Saguna Brahman or Saguna Ishvara. Another name is Upasana. So again, there is an indication, clear pointer here to the fact that meditation or Upasana for us is only possible really to bring about a transformation, a religious, spiritual transformation in the life of the individual, if it uses an object of meditation which represents the creator, or Brahman. Brahman colored, by the gunas of Maya, or Brahman before or beyond the gunas of Maya, the absolute Brahman, or the Triguna Brahman. Let's put in those sense, those terms. So the object of meditation must be either Saguna Ishvara or Nirguna Ishvara. So two kinds of meditators there. The ones that do that before Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa, and the other who does that after Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. If a person did not do the practice before the Vedantic study, then the person should practice this discipline of meditation, upasana, after the study of Vedanta. And that lies a little problem or confusion. When you expose your intellect to the teachings of Vedanta in its entirety, you clearly are presented with the Nirguna and Saguna nature of Ishvara or Brahman. And then the meditator will say, okay, sounds good. So I did not do any meditation. My mind is still a little bit dispersive, and there are some stupid thoughts occupying my attention. And so I want to do this meditation. So am I going to meditate on Saguna or Nirguna Ishvara, since I already got in contact with both concepts? So this will depend on us. Saguna Ishvara is easier object of meditation, and the Nirguna is more difficult because it is subtle. With Saguna, I have a variety of expressions or representations of Brahman in the form of all these deities, or divinities or deities, and also in the form of pure Sattvaguna as Ishvara, the supreme intelligence, and so on, as a good Vedantic yogi understands. So it's up to each one of us to choose if I'm prepared to do my discipline of keeping the mind, on a valid and proper, what was the expression he used before? Proper means a proper object of focus. What is a proper object of Upasana is Ishvara. And then I have, okay, Saguna Nirguna. So whatsoever you're able to. It's better to meditate on Nirguna, but it's not as simple and easy for most as meditating on Saguna. Now, either person say, okay, no, but I don't care for these things about Ishwara. Ishwara, absolute Ishwara, relative. I like to meditate just on the breath, or I just like to meditate on the wall. And then say, okay, so you're gonna get some benefit. The benefit is one-pointedness, but that's not going to really refine your body-mind complex the way that our meditations do, because we integrate the creator into our discipline of meditation. And you don't just integrate the creator like that. You integrate them, the creator, Saguna, Nirguna, which did not recreate anything, but apparently originated or created this universe. You integrate that with a strong base of knowledge and logic that allows you to understand, this Saguna or Nirguna Brahman. So it is a meditation that is going to purify far more the individual when he understands the nature of God. You understand? The nature of God, our relationship with this God as Saguna God, and then understand the nature of the Jiva Atma, Ishwara Atma, and Paramatma is one and the same. They are identical. So all of that is only possible if you bring in the notion, the concept of God in its Nirguna nature and Saguna nature. And that is going to purify very, very rapidly, in two ways. Now, one is understand the relationship Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagat, and then in such a mitya, which is a binary format, and the mind purifies big time, because once you just determine that any and everything appearing to me is mitya, and mitya is just an appearance without really intrinsic value by itself. I sustain, and maintain, I project, this mitya world. I bless this. So once you have that perspective, such a mitya, the mind also further purifies. Why? Who is going to care for one's desires and fears once one is has firmly understood this perspective? I, consciousness, am the only reality. All of this, a superimposition or projection. And then the Namarupas come within this cosmic ignorance, and the Jiva is caught up in this mitya world, which is as good as non-existent. So anybody at that level of understanding will not feed any one of these ignorant vasanas, and the mind is going to go through further refinement and purification, and then vairagya is going to grow even more. So as a Kama Yogi and as a Jnana Yogi, going through your Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana, you're going to purify the mind. But the people who are anti-Ishwara, anti-God, materialistic, atheists, they don't have the possibility to go through this process of preparedness or refinement, because they are not religious people, they are materialistic people. Every time I had the opportunity, I have to talk about the materialists. So many of them in the spiritual circles. They find themselves very spiritual. They don't know that they are very materialistic. Worship energies and powers and this and that, spiritual status. If a person did not practice meditation before Vedanta, what is going to be of this person? It has to do it after Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. And Swami suggests that in that case, one should not meditate on Saguna Ishwara, because Vedanta has taught everything about Nirguna Ishvara, and has given the Satya Mithya Viveka, Atma Anatma Viveka. So now how am I going to do my dhyana, my meditation, So it's not a big deal. You may be a Vedantine and you still may be better off doing a meditation on Saguna Ishvara for some time, because they are not self-exclusive, excluding, exclusive. No, if I have understanding of Nirguna Brahman, that does not cancel my understanding of Saguna Brahman. And then I can still enjoy my apparent relationship with the apparent Saguna Brahman. And I can gain some other further purification or refinement or one-pointedness by doing that, but never losing the perspective that I am Satya and Shwara Jiva Jagat is Mithya. But here Swamiji says, no, in that case, according to the booklet, the script here, we should do Nirguna Brahman dhyana. So what is Nirguna Brahman dhyana? Meditation on Nirguna Brahman. So there is no duality in Nirguna Brahman, because Nirguna Brahman is substratum of that which is the only reality, which is Sat, existence as an overall phenomenon. So there is no duality. Therefore, it's you are meditating on this substratum. You are meditating on the true all-pervasive nature of the entire apparent cosmos. So it becomes a little difficult to meditate in that way. So on a practical, objective manner. So bottom line, the Vedantic meditation is meditating on the scriptural knowledge that reveals the true nature of Jivatma as Paramatma, is meditating on the scriptures, the teachings, remembering the teaching, contemplating the teaching, applying the teaching. This is Nididhyasana. So it means to say that, okay, and then you're going to do Nididhyasana, which is the Nirguna Brahman meditation. But as Nirguna Brahman is not an object of meditation, Saguna Brahman is an object of meditation. Nirguna Brahman is your very nature. You just have to understand it, and you need the help of the scriptures. You're going to meditate on the scripture. It is a little bit more difficult. If the person does not have one-pointedness, it may be better to make a step back and meditate on Saguna to gain further one-pointedness or focus. You guys agree? Are you with me, or you have some other opinions?
I agree.
Okay. In both types of meditation, the goal is to keep the mind in its field, the field of thought processing that I want it to be. So if I have to think of something, I want to think of noble things. I want to think of the supreme nature, the absolute nature, or the apparent nature. I want to think, wisely. I don't want the mind to just saying stupid things all the time. I want to be the master to keep the mind in the field that I have chosen. I assert my control over this mind. I direct the mind to think, in agreement with the scriptures. Gaudapada assumes that some students are going to do either Saguna or Nirguna, which is Nididhyasana. He gives instructions for this practice like Krishna did in the 6th chapter of the Gita. Krishna concentrated on the preparation for meditation, like proper place of meditation, proper time, proper condition, of the body. This is a preparation that, according to Swamiji or Gaudapada, was the main topic of Krishna. Yeah? But we went much into other aspects of the sadhana in the Gita. Proper time is that Gaudapada talks about different obstacles for meditation, and we have looked into that in the Gita as well, which Krishna did not deal with elaborately. So either Krishna did not deal elaborately in the verse, but definitely Swami Ji did elaborate greatly, okay? So because Swami, he adds to certain areas of the teachings when he sees that Krishna Guru did not bring that up. There are 4 types of obstacles when we enter dhyana prachibandha. The first one is laya, the mind is getting lousy, sleepy. You want to start napping because of the rise of tamoguna. Tamoguna. The next one is vikshepa, the wandering mind, a highly active mind because of the rise of rajoguna. The third one is kasayam, unmanifest or hidden disturbance because of hidden raga and vesha in the subconscious mind, resulting in stagnation of the mind, and so the mind is not available for the task. The fourth one is rasasvada, getting lost in the experiential bliss of sattvaguna. When the mind is tranquil, the experiential ananda, that is the reflect bliss that comes from our true nature, it is going to distract the mind, attract the mind, and the mind is not going to be available for the nididhyasana, which is further contemplation, those statements of identity until they become fact. So here in the Gita, we will see that 4 problems, 4 obstacles. The first one is tamoguna. The mind becomes sleepy, and we can meditate. This is very frustrating. I don't know if you guys experienced that. I used to experience more rajoguna, wandering mind. But sometimes the mind is so exhausted of going about wandering, that out of exhaustion, it becomes tamasic as well. And then one starts falling asleep right when you want to sit down to meditate. Yeah? So Ramji has an insight in that to say that, they go together, Raja, push the mind to go and do things to get certain results. And then the mind gets exhausted, the body mind gets exhausted, and then tamoguna takes place, rise and dominates the mind, and the mind becomes sleepy. Yeah? And then we go from excessive raja to excess of tamoguna, excess of raja, excess of tamoguna. And then late in the night, sometimes we have another condition, which is deep sleep. But we don't find the mind. When the mind is dominated for rajas and tamas, we don't find the mind fully available for contemplating, understanding these Upanishad declarations of identity. Therefore, it's very important we organize our lifestyle. We organize in a way that we can structure it to not to push it into Rajatama mode, but to stimulate it, to cultivate clarity and alertness, which are aspects of Sattvaguna. And Swami, here, Gaudapada, no, this was Krishna, no? Krishna did not develop. I don't know if it is Gaudapada talks about different obstacles. Yeah, this is Gaudapada bring the insight about the third obstacle, which is Kasayam, which are hidden ragas and dveshas. They are subconscious or unconscious. This refers to very profound patterns or traumas that are buried in the basement of the mind that creates a certain of a chronic stagnation state, that the mind is not awake and it's not active, it's not falling asleep, but it is flat. And this happens, okay? Hidden disturbance that do not manifest as sleepiness or excess of activity of the wandering mind, but the mind is just depressed, depressed and not available for the task at hand. The fourth one we know very well is the bliss that comes from the reflection of our true nature in a sattvic condition mind. It gives a very nice sense of completion and satisfaction and peace. And one may take that to be one's final destination, and that is, it proves to be an obstacle, a big one, stuck in sattva. Gaudapada says that one has to transcend these four obstacles. First, he takes up a vikshepa, when the mind is carried away or lost in sense pleasures, lost in objects of desire, which brings attachment. Withdraw the mind by appropriate method, he says. You need to withdraw the mind using appropriate methods. Gaudapada does not say exactly what are the appropriate methods. He says that only in the next verse. He's going to address this wandering mind dominated or conditioned by Rajoguna. Then he will take the sattvic, the tamasic mind. When the mind becomes passive because of laya state, you have to handle the sleeping mind by appropriate method. And he will explain briefly soon what are the methods. Just as distraction caused by desire is an obstacle, a sleeping mind is also an obstacle, so both must be handled intelligently and wisely and skillfully with the help of Gaudapada's suggestions. Verse 43, constantly remembering that everything is a source of sorrow, one should turn away the mind from the object of desire. Constantly remember that everything is unborn Brahman. One should never see anything which is seemingly born as real. One should never take this apparent born universe of objects as reality. Therefore, what is the point of being running for shades, shadows of reality? So it's very interesting. He begins presenting the method or the way to go about. And the way to go about is nothing real, really, do this exercise and breathe like that and close your nose, open your eyes, watch your, no, it's nothing of that. You are yin yogi. Constantly remember that everything is a source of sorrow. The mind is just moving, wandering, contact these objects of desires and fears. And then one has to remember the teachings that everything is a source of sorrow. Or even more profound, that the world of objects is not the real source of sorrow. This real source of sorrow is to believe that the objects of desires contain true happiness and true satisfaction. So we need to correct that thinking process. The other thinking process that needs to be corrected is that the objects, we have to remember, the objects are not only the source of happiness, but they are not really the source of sorrow. Here it presents that everything is a source of sorrow. Ignorance is a source of sorrow. You understand? The objects that we desire is going to produce sorrow. Why? Because they don't have the happiness that we desire. No. The fault is on the objects? No. It's in my projection of value on objects that are value neutral. And then I have also the objects that I'm bound negatively by rejecting them or having a fear, attraction, repulsion, So all those objects, we need to see them for what they are. They are not really a source of sorrow, although the verse generally says it is a source of sorrow. Everything is a source of sorrow, but not that everything is ignorance that projects value in this field of objects is the source of sorrow. I'm sorry, I mean, here and there, I take the liberty to further edit this verse because we are a small group of people and we are advanced students, So, but here in this context, I want to meditate and the mind is wandering, and then I have to say everything that this mind is contacting here, these objects of desires and fears. I mean, this object is an attempt to try to control, my experience, what I can get and what I don't want to get. This is an impossible task. So to engage myself on an endeavor which is impossible is a real source of sorrow. I can't control that, you understand? It belongs to Ishvara. It belongs to its laws such as karma. So fundamentally, remembering the defects of all objects of desires, it helps greatly. The objects of desires, once accomplished or gained, they are going to give us a certain satisfaction, which is very defected. It's mixed up with pain, and the pain is basically from the fact that we know that those objects, they change from moment to moment. My relationship with these objects change. Nothing remains the same and nothing remains forever. Everything has a beginning and an end. So once we got something that we really desired, and especially when it's another human being, and then immediately that satisfaction or happiness that comes with a huge defect, which is here and now, and how I'm going to keep it forever. And how about if after a few years that object does not produce happiness anymore, how I'm going to get rid of it, and many complications, So how to keep it is the second problem, how to keep it. And deep down, we are so much subconsciously aware that these objects of desire, they don't really deliver what we believe they could deliver. We begin generating other desires as soon as we got our object of desire, because deep inside we know, it's not going to last much longer. So therefore, having the full picture of this mechanism, project within the scope of the relationship between Ishvara Jiva with the field, the Dhamma field, with its laws, the individual seeing the defects of all objects of desire, it just holds the mind in its place, say, hey, take it easy, there is nothing there for us. You are my instrument. I know that you want to have peace as well. I want to have peace, and you want to have peace. Don't believe that there is peace in gaining that object of desire. Take it easy. I'm educating you, okay? Remember again and again that everything that is there is going to create sorrow and pain and suffering. It's going to bind us to more suffering, the samsara suffering. Remember. So it goes to one thing that I like to say very often. We can withdraw the mind from this compulsive. Compulsive is a word that I was trying to remember before. Compulsive process of thinking. So it disturbs the mind, disturbs the intellect, disturbs the memory, disturbs everything. It wants out the entire system. I want to stop that. And then the young says, yes, you need incredible willpower. And here the Swami Gaudapada, he says, with incredible willpower, which is presented as perseverance. You have to really be so persistent, so insistent, so stubborn, perseverance, because it is difficult. Lots of effort. But perseverance or effort alone will not do it. Will not do it. We need to get together our willpower with our understanding of this system, Ishvara, Jiva, Jagata, and understand that the objects of desires and fears never deliver the peace and tranquility and satisfaction that we want to gain. Yeah? So knowledge and willpower, they have to be together so that we succeed. Only willpower, not possible. Only knowledge without any willpower or discipline. It's a concept. We need both to bring about the transformation, which is our goal. Constantly remembering that everything is Brahman, everything is myself. All these namarupas are just I, myself, gold, the true nature of all objects of gold, ornaments of gold. So I am consciousness, the true substantial, or the true intrinsic, essential nature of this apparent universe or cosmos. Constantly remembering that everything is happening within myself as consciousness, within myself as Turiya, as Brahman. That way, I should never attribute reality to anything which is just I, Brahman. Anything that is born, what it means, anything that's born is anathema, is an object. So I should never desire anything that has birth and death. Gaudapada gives two methods to handle the wandering mind. One method is for an upasaka who has not studied Vedanta. The second method is for nididhyasana, for those who studied Vedanta. The first method, when the sense pleasures are distracting you through the temptations, you meditate upon the problems that can be caused by them. So if you did not study Vedanta, you're going to say, oh, I have been there, I have done that, and it just creates more trouble. So that's the logic. You're going to bring some logic to support your willpower, your discipline, your effort. So he puts it that if you haven't really understood Brahman, Nirguna Brahman is the only reality, the substratum of this apparent world of object. And then you just remember that all these objects, they do not really have value. You remember those basic teachings of Vedanta, yeah? Which is present very simply as happiness is not in the object. The joy is not in the object. No? Ramji has presented that way. The joy is not in the object. It's one of the basic. Where is this joy? So you have to understand where is this joy that we are searching for. No? The joy is not in nothing. It's not in anything that is born and dies. Anything that changes, there is no joy. Everything and anything that was not there all the time, there is no joy. So on the first level, you understand this basic teaching, and you use that to strengthen your willpower. And then the analogy that the rose is beautiful, but when you go to pick it up, the thorn will hurt you. So likewise, the objects of desire, they have thorns. The pleasure caused by every worldly object has three innate effects. First one, it's mixed with sorrow. Number two, does not produce lust, it's impermanent. It does not produce permanent contentment. And number three, creates attachment, bondage. First problem, it's defect by nature. It's subconsciously, I'm already experienced this unhappiness because I know that it came and it will go, and I have no clue on how to keep it for myself eternally and producing the same level of tranquility and joy and happiness. So knowing that, I'm already experiencing a certain suffering every time I gain what I wanted, and does not produce lasting contentment because the effects of gaining that is something short-lived. It's a fleeting moment that fades soon due to the impermanence of happiness, because fundamentally there is no happiness in any object. And the last problem is, in spite of all these defects, we still stupidly tend to get bound to objects. We understand it's a kind of some happiness mixed up with sorrow, and then we understand that it is impermanent, and I understand that it, in spite of everything, I'm going to be attached to this thing, you know? This thing has not much value, but unconsciously, I still believe that's better than nothing. Let me not hold on to them too much. Let me hand over to Bhagwan. Let me hold on to Saguna Bhagwan, Saguna Brahman first. Let me hold on to Ishwara, or give these objects to objects, saying, thank you, Ishwara. Okay, they sound very appealing and nice. They look good. But, you know, thank you. I will do my duties towards worldly objects for my spiritual growth, but I will never hold on to them for my peace, security, or happiness. So I'm gonna be doing my duty as a holder toward my roles, you know, of providing things to my family, for example, but I will never allow my mind to get attached to these gained objects, as if they really are responsible for my peace, security, and happiness. This peace, security, and happiness, I make an effort by understanding the true nature of this apparently reality, the true nature of this I, which is identical to Nirguna Brahman. Anything can disappear at any time. Therefore, let me not emotionally depend upon anything. Emotionally depend is a key thing here, yeah? Because we depend on certain things. For example, we depend upon a roof over our heads, yeah? Not to get wet, even though we can always go under some bridges here and there. But we depend on some food every day. But if we lose the roof and if we lose the food, we can say, okay, bad karma. Now I'm in this situation, but emotionally, that should not never destroy me. I should have certain understanding, first of my nature, totally free and independent from any experience of this world. And second, by the understanding of the nature of the law of karma, if it's coming, this experience, it's because it serves certain purpose to exhaust some papa. Yeah? Once I reduce my raga, the attachment, the mind will begin to obey me. So we have attachment, desire, yeah? And then it's going to produce some gains here and there. The gains are going to be experienced as difficult to keep, impermanence is there, change is there. In the process, not to say that in the process of trying to gain the object of desire, we suffer because there is competition, big time. The more we want something big that many other people want, more we are running into to certain things. Yeah? So I don't want to depend them emotionally. I may depend them practically. Yeah? And then I don't want to be attached to anything. So what is the object of the desire that we are mostly attached to? The physical body. We attach to the physical body because we all would like to live and not to die as the body. So how am I going to be unattached by the physical body? No, I'm attached to the physical body. I depend on the physical body. In any sense, it's my instrument of experience, but I'm not really emotionally attached because I understood that my true identity is free and independent from the three bodies. I'm not the three bodies. I'm not the physical body. I'm not the mental body. I have understood my true nature. Therefore, I'm good. Once I reduce my raga, the attachment, the mind will obey. Repeatedly, the mind should be educated. Educate, I love this term, educated, to detach from the objects of desires and people, worldly beings, attached from worldly things and worldly beings. Therefore, Gaudapada says one should remember that every object in the world is mixed with equal amount of pain. Also, the intensity of pain given by an object is proportionally to the intensity of pleasure. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna complains about the wandering mind and so on. So here, he began this, we have to stop here. But he was saying that in this verse, he presents two sort of methods for the meditator. The meditator who did not get to the Upanishads, he should remember the defects on all objects. And the ones that have been in contact with the Upanishad, he should remember that there is only I, Brahman, and any and everything is just apparent superimposition upon myself. Two levels of understanding. I should never attribute reality to anything that is born. No? So we're going to see more in the coming days. I need to go out to touch base with my worker here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Mudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Okie dokie. We meet not tomorrow. Tomorrow I go to do many things in town, and we meet Friday back to the Gita. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Thank you, my
Okay, bye
brother.
now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Philip.